Hi there. My name is Avil Beckford, and this is the latest episode of the One Problem podcast. We all know that there are tons of problems in the world. We're not going to tackle all these problems because we don't want to get overwhelmed. We're going to tackle problems one problem at a time. As is most of the case so far with doing this podcast, I have some sort of relationship with my guest. Our special guest today is Sandra Folk. She works with corporate executives to help them to communicate more effectively. And she was introduced to me by someone on LinkedIn. Now, over to you, Sandra.
Hi, Avil. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be here today and to share my thoughts about a problem that executives face and how I see the problem could be solved. So I'm an executive business communication coach, and I work with people for whom English is their native tongue, and I work with people for whom English is not their first language. Arguably, it is being able to deliver an effective presentation is one of the most highly developed skills that a leader needs. And that's what I want to talk about. How do you deliver an effective presentation? And this is a skill that my native English speakers always ask me to work with them on. They feel they need to conquer it. And also my non-native English speakers who are highly skilled in their particular field. However, it's about elevating and refining their communication. So the question is now, how do I grab people's attention? How do I appeal to the emotion? It's also about the trajectory and the path that you take to make it happen. And let me tell you, there's no magic formula. So what's really important if you want to deliver successful presentations, and I want you to stop and think about this. What actually makes for an effective presentation? How presentations don't necessarily have to be the big presentations that you have in front of 100 people. It's also about a conversation you have with someone, a one-on-one. It could be one in a small group. Is it a phone conversation? Every meeting that you do face-to-face or via video is a presentation. So what is the key of what you need to think about and put into action to deliver an effective presentation? And here's what I work with with my clients. The first thing I get my clients to think about when delivering a presentation, think of yourself as the tour guide. I'm sure you've all gone on a tour. And when you go on a tour, that you need to think about, what is it that I want to point out? You go along, you could be a tour in a city, it could be a tour in a gallery. What is it that you want people to think about? But first of all, what's absolutely critical, as a tour guide, you want to stop and think about, what is it that I need to deliver to my clients? You need to stop and think about this. So once you know what it is you want to deliver and you've thought about it, then the next step is to go on the tour, okay? So the key points in the tour is taking people on a journey. And the journey is a great metaphor for thinking about how to deliver an effective presentation. That's really critical. And that brings me to the next point. When you talk to people and you want to grab their attention and pull on their heartstrings, you need to have a good story. If you recall, when you were a child, you loved listening to stories. Why were the stories appealing to you as a child? Because you could feel yourself in that story. And that's what you need to do when you're delivering presentations. Think about telling a great story. And you want to share compelling information. Even if it's research data that could be boring, you want to make it interesting. So how do you do that? First of all, you need to consider the outcome. Where do you want to end up? Where do you want to take your audience? And you need to come back to your starting point, which is your goal. So you need to have a plan to get from the goal to the outcome. And once you have that plan in place, then you can start to go forward. And the next thing is, the third thing is, you need to think about your audience. Who are your audience? What is it that they need from you? What are they looking for? What are they hoping to find out? Once you've provided that, then they can take action. Then they can understand what they need to do. And then after, once you know what your audience is looking for and what they need, and you connect with them with that story you're delivering, it's all about the words. The words are critical. For me, words make it happen. If you use the right words that are going to motivate, connect, link to your audience, then it's going to make a difference. And that's what I say to my clients. You need to think about, what is it that they want to hear from you? How are you going to create that emotion? How are you going to make them take action? How are you going to make them feel, yes, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do as a result of it. So in telling your story, you need to think about the words. Without those words that resonating with your audience, you've lost them. And without an audience, you have no presentation. So those are my key points. So what I'd like to do, just in summarizing, these are the things you need to think about. You need to think about yourself as being the tour guide, taking people on a tour, pointing out the important points or the sites you want them to see. Then you want to think about your outcome. Where do I want to end up? Link it back to your goal. So now you know, here's where I am. Think of it as a journey. I'm here. I want to take them there. And then the next thing you want to think about is your audience. Who are they? What are they looking for from me? What do they want to know? And remember, this is all part of your story. And then once you know what's going to resonate for them, it's the words you use to grab their attention, get their emotion going, to motivate them. And without those words resonating with them, it won't happen. So make sure you use the words that are going to appeal to your audience and motivate them. So that is how I work with my clients to help them to better deliver effective presentations.
Thank you so much, Sandra. And while you're talking, you reminded me of a study that was done more than a decade ago. And some very senior level executives, they said that their ability to communicate effectively and give presentations allowed them to be successful because they were able to sell their ideas. So thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Thank you. I appreciated it. It was fun.